Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Short Box Podcast.
The Short Box Podcast is recorded live from Jacksonville, Florida.
Yo, Short Box Nation. Welcome back to the podcast. Yo, how's everyone doing? I hope you're all in a good spirits, and I hope you're ready for a damn good time on this episode. If you're new to the show, welcome. This is the Short Box Podcast, the comic book talk show that brings you the best conversations about comic books and pop culture inspired by them. My name is Botter, and this is episode 386. It recently dawned on me that the last 3 episodes have all been interviews. And I mean, granted, it's been like some stellar interviews. I will say that. It's been some awesome comic creators we had the chance to bring on the show. And, you know, we were also planning on doing a deep dive into Zorro today and pulp comics and how they've inspired superheroes and comics today. It was going to be a really good episode. All of that was Cesar's idea, and it was also voted on by our Patreon community. But Cesar had something come up.
And he called in.
Yeah, I get.
He called in.
He used a floating PTO day. 2 back-to-back episodes was too much fun for him.
I was curious about that. There's no way he's doing 2 in a row. No way.
Exactly. So he had something come up. He couldn't join us today. We weren't going to do the Zorro episode without him. So I figured it was a perfect opportunity to do something a little more relaxed, right? We've been feeding you guys interviews, and we were going to do something deep dive. But I kind of wanted like just a fun episode. I wanted to catch up with all these headlines and comic news from this past month, which means that there's plenty to talk about today.
We've got things to talk about.
Damn right we do, Jon Stewart. And since there's so much to cover, I got friends with me, all right? I brought in the big guns today. Joining me in the studio on mic number 2 is the return of your favorite co-host. It's the especial Edmund Danzart.
What's up, man?
Ed, how you been, man?
I've been doing good.
Ed, how have you been enjoying the little break? It's been a minute since you got
I was on
back
that
on.
Cesar schedule. It was nice.
You were on that Cesar paternity leave without the child.
I know.
You had it made,
I don't even
bro.
have a kid.
You had
all
it
this
made.
Time off.
All right, and joining us via phone, all the way from the West Coast. I'm talking L.A., big money over here, all right? He's a friend of the show, and he's finally making his return after his short box debut almost 2 years ago.
Wow.
He's the founder of Cosmic Lion Productions, which is home of one of my favorite fanzines called the Wizard of Fan Magazine. He's also the host of the comic podcast, Can I Thwip It? Which I'm still going to hold that, aside from the short box, is probably the second best named comic book podcast ever. I love it. And he's also the head honcho of the seminal online comic group, Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats, Short Box Nation. Let's go ahead and give it up for the return of Eli Schwab.
What up, what up? Good morning from the West Coast.
Damn right. Man, this is a dedication my man Eli got.
Early for you.
It is, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning over there, right?
Yeah.
This is his Saturday morning cartoon right here. All right, he's got a nice cup of coffee. The sun is beaming in beautiful. I can see everything on the wall. He's got some wicked art on the walls. I love that Mobius Silver Surfer in the back. That's good.
Thanks, dude.
What is that, real quick? What is that? Is that rainbow multicolored TMNT thing?
Is that Slash?
Yes, it's a Jim Mahfood G-Slay
Ooh.
of some just insane graffiti styles, man. He's one of my favorites.
Hell yeah, man. That's LA style for you right there. All right, I'm loving it so far. Eli, how you been, man? How's everything with Cosmic Lion Productions? How's the podcast? How's the Ringside Seats group and all that?
It's all going great, man. I'll tell you what, Cosmic Lion Productions is taking off like crazy. We got more and more books. I got on my whiteboard here, I got books lined up into next year.
Wow.
We just released a killer fan book by Barry Tan. It's a kind of like like an Image homage on the hollow foil cover. It's got some amazing stuff like this Insane Profit pinup. Nice. It was showed off on an episode of Cartoonist Kayfabe, but Barry Tan is the man. So we got new books coming out as always, and just killing it. That's a good spot to have to get the kayfabe effect. Yes, exactly. It has been happening.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We've been lucky enough to get a few books hit with the kayfabe effect, and it's always helpful.
And I'm also going to go ahead and help you shamelessly plug Cosmic Lion more than you've already done so far and say your comic series Space Knights that you guys put out by Kevin Anthony Catalan is fantastic. And I can't wait for us to maybe talk about that a little more whenever I hop on your show and vice versa. But yeah, man, big shout out to everything you got going on with Cosmic Lion.
Thanks, man. And of course, Ghost Agents is another big one. We got the Treasury edition out right now.
He's not in LA for no reason, folks, right? My man knows how to sell. But he's doing big things, so hell yeah. Before we go any further, I want to shout out everyone that has reached out so far and showed some love for last week's episode of Chris Pierce, a.k.a. the man behind one of the best comic YouTube channels out there. I'm talking about Comic Tropes. I appreciate everyone that sent in some kind words, that sent in compliments, and just overall loved the episode as much as me and Cesar enjoyed recording it and getting to talk to Chris. We're both big fans of Comic Tropes, and I'm glad to see that episode is doing so well. So check that out if you haven't already. And while we're on kudos and giving, appreciation flowers, I'd like to give a big shout out to our incredible sponsor, Gotham City Limit, Jacksonville's premier location for comic books, collectibles, toys, and more. You'll hear from them later on in this episode. And of course, if we're going to talk about the Short Box family, there's always time to shout out our friends and loyal supporters that make up our Patreon community. We love every single one of you guys, and we appreciate you guys for helping us keep the lights on. If you're listening and you're not part of the Short Box Elite by now, I'm here to tell you, you're leaving valuable entertainment on the table, which is basically which is the currency of podcasting, entertainment, right? You could be maximizing your Short Box enjoyment by tenfold, all right? I've done all the math, and I got scientists that can back that up. You're leaving money and entertainment on the table. If you become a Patreon subscriber, you could be enjoying the Short Box podcast on a whole nother level. Here's how it works, all right? Essentially, you give us a tiny contribution of $2 or $5 a month, the money that you're going to forget about and probably waste on bad food, probably drugs anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's not even the script. I went off the script on that one.
Well,
I went off the script on that one. Look, all I'm asking is that you help us pay. Yeah. If you enjoy the show, help us pay some of these podcast bills.
Put the bottle down for one day. Selfish sons of bitches. One day. That's all it takes.
Exactly. Help us keep this thing running, all right? And in exchange, you'll get a healthier liver, but you'll also get a ton of bonus content. You'll get access to unreleased episodes. You'll also be able to help us vote on episode topics, so you'll have a hand and a say in the shows that we produce. And most importantly, you'll get that sweet, sweet, sweet dopamine kick from being so damn charitable. And you'll have that righteous superiority complex for helping us provide content to listeners around the world on a regular basis, all right? Be the hero this community needs and sign up to become a Short Box patron saint. Patron saint? Yeah, the real Patreon saint. Over at patreon.com/theshortbox.
Two of the hosts have children now?
Yo,
come on,
see,
man.
I didn't want to play the baby card.
Okay, we'll wait for
but
that.
I think we should be. We should actually be.
Yeah. The stakes are higher.
Yeah, much higher, man. We got families to provide, all right? And your $2 and $5 a month could at least put I don't know. What is like some baby stuff that's
Formula?
$2-5? Yeah, formula.
Yeah.
All right, help us out,
What
man.
babies drink, right? Yeah.
All right, we can't keep guilting our listeners to give us money. All right, help us out if you can, and if you want, we'd appreciate it. Let's go and get this episode started. If you're listening to the podcast version of the show, all the topics that we're going to talk about today are timestamped and listed in the show notes of the episode. So if you're looking to see if we covered anything in particular, if you just want to jump around, go ahead and check out the show notes and go from there. Ed, how about you go ahead and kick us off, man? What's the first thing on the agenda today?
Oh man, big, pretty significant news. Amazon Studios has hired former Marvel EIC Joe Quesada, who left the company not even a year ago. And basically, he has been hired to develop movies and TV. It's a first look deal, but focusing on existing and new comic book IP. So this guy he's been in the game since the 90s. He started at Valiant, Marvel, DC. He was an artist, then he moved into The Office. And like I said, he's been an executive producer on Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So he's has his foot into that side of the business. So he ran his own company, Event Comics, for 5 years. So like I said, 3 lines Marvel that kind of kept them going when comics were in the downside: Marvel Knights, the Max line, and the Ultimate line, which you can say he's like one of the architects of the MCU.
And real quick, you just went through this dude's entire, well, not even maybe his entire, but like a good chunk of his resume. Have you said his name yet? Have you said Joe Quesada?
Joe Quesada.
Oh, okay,
Did I?
I wasn't sure.
Joe Quesada.
That's how long the list of his resume went. Was I forgot you said his name at the beginning.
Yeah, former EIC Joe Quesada. So that's a big get for, like I said, Netflix has Mark Millar. So they're kind of basically taking Marvel's one of their more successful EICs in recent history and hoping he can recreate that magic with Amazon.
Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
There's a lot that they can do. There's a lot of...
Yeah.
I mean, this immediately made me think about Grendel, which I'm a big fan of, and how there was that show that I know to be almost completely finished, and that they just dropped at Netflix, And so this is making me think, okay, we got we got Quesada.
I get them mixed up,
I always
too.
think of them two as like a team, Palmiotti and Quesada,
Yeah.
They're just in my head from the 90s as like this like ultimate team. And again, that's good because he's huge at Marvel and so they have that connection already.
Yeah.
That like working connection. And if they can get that Grendel thing picked up, if they're going to do this whole thing, like this article says that they are going to helm a Silk Spider Society show too.
Yeah, they got that side thing with Sony with the non-MCU properties they can.
That was new to me. I didn't know there was a Marvel link between Prime Video and Sony. Maybe it's very obvious and I'm just new to this, but I didn't know that there was that slight connection with Sony. So, I mean, speaking of Spider-Man adjacent projects, right now Sony's got Silk Spider Society and then a Spider-Man Noir series currently in the works. Wow. So I guess maybe those will be available on Prime Video. Maybe that's where the link is.
Morbius series we all been wanting after that movie.
I'm so surprised. I believe the Kraven movie is supposed to be
There's a Kraven movie
out.
coming out.
That's right. Yeah, it's done, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I also saw a hilarious meme that said that it still beat Shazam 2. Like Morbius still beat Shazam 2 at the box office.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I mean, it's Morbid time.
Yeah, leave it up to Sony. I kind of respect Sony's complete faith in their project, or maybe like just this like sense of like frugalness of like, we just spent the money, we're fucking putting it out.
Yeah, let's put it out.
Meanwhile, DC like spent like,
look at all these memes. Put it out again.
no. Well, that, but also they're like, you know, we spent however much we spent on that Batwoman movie, and instead we'd rather take the tax return.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Well, yeah, it seems like they're going lean in that one direction. It's crazy. But are we going to get that Ash series from Event, that superhero fireman? You guys remember him?
Oh, man.
Oh, that's a Joe Quesada thing.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Interesting. You think he'll try to? You think Joe Quesada will try
He's
to
going to
bring back some of
resurrect
his-
Ash, the superhero fireman? Does that sound good? Does it sound like a good idea?
The world needs it right now, dude. The world needs it. That wouldn't be the craziest thing, right?
Or the Valiant stuff is kind of, that kind of petered out with Bloodshot. I mean, they can give that a good Exo Man of War.
There's a lot there they could work with.
Ninjak,
So
he worked on Ninjak back in the day.
Damn, that'd be cool if Quesada decides to like beef up or bring Valiant into like, this prestige when it comes to live action. Like to amplify what they've already kind of built on. I think that'd be cool, especially like
they're
his time.
hanging around. There's like a Valiant title comes out every 6 months or so.
So did you guys catch in this Gizmodo article about this piece of news? Did you guys catch? I'm interpreting this as shade being thrown at like Disney Studios or the MCU. I don't know if you guys interpret it the same way, but in the article, Joe Quesada, in response to like this news and him getting this deal, he says, quote, "What it was also clear is that they're creating a collaborative environment and unique methodology that I'm surprised no one has yet thought to implement, but I'm certain will be quickly imitated." So keywords being Amazon Prime Video is creating a collaborative environment, unique methodology. It's like, is that a shot at MCU? Talking about like how some people view like Kevin Feige's like reign of like being really tight about creative
It's
control.
like a template you use.
I mean, am I looking too deep into it? Are these subliminals?
It could be thinly veiled shot.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I
for
listen
sure.
to too much rap, right? I'm always looking for
There's
beef,
beef.
where maybe there isn't beef. So, all right, a question for you guys then, because I needed a quick recap as far as like what live action and comic adaptations Prime Studios has created, and ones that come to mind off the rip: Tick, Invincible, which might be
Paper
my
Girls,
favorite.
dude.
Paper Girls, Boys,
yeah.
Yeah, Boys, Doom Patrol. And I always thought those were just strictly HBO Max, but I guess maybe Prime Studios helped with maybe the or Amazon Studios maybe helped to develop them. Is that
I don't
why
know.
they show up?
I'm not sure. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, weird. Eli, it sounds like Paper Girls has been your favorite release through Amazon Studios.
Dude, I loved it. I always heard of that book, and you always see it at the the big trade came out, I think around that same time, the giant omnibus. But like, I had never read it, and so I'm a big Jason Mantzoukas fan. So as soon as I saw he was in it, I was like, I'm gonna check this out, man. I love time travel. I love all this stuff, and so I watched it, and man, I chugged that shit so fast, and it made me go out. Not really go out. I guess I used Comixology Unlimited, and I chugged that entire series like in a week. That's a lot of books, man. And I was so psyched on it. And then I was like pissed to hear Mantzoukas like on podcasts being like, it's canceled. And I'm like, what? Come on, man. It was so good. There's so much they could do with that book too.
And
man.
that's such a bad move, in my opinion, to like where they'll drop a show. Like Netflix has done this a lot, Prime, but the show's not even out a month and they say it's not getting renewed. So
right.
For me, that like basically is so counterintuitive. That basically cuts off a lot of people. Well, why the fuck am I going to invest time?
You're shooting it in the foot, man, before it even gets out.
It's like let it breathe, because like that Cowboy Bebop thing was like 2 days out, and it's like not renewed.
And the comic didn't even come out, and then they like canceled that or something. And
yeah, the comic came out like it was. The comic's actually pretty good too. And I didn't mind the show, but I'm not as hardcore as some folks. But yeah, it was like they had this all lined up and it's just, it's done.
That sucks when they do that. For some reason, they just don't have, for lack of a better term, the balls to like go. Because I don't even think they marketed Paper Girls very hard. I barely saw anything about it.
I didn't even know about it till I saw, because I listened to I like Mantzoukas as well. So I just heard about it on like whatever shows he was on, like Comedy Bang Bang or something. It's like, oh, there's a Paper Girl series? That's cool.
That's where I'm at too, Comedy Bang Bang.
regardless, I'm going to stay positive and optimistic that Joe Quesada can get the job done. You know, I'm hoping that he brings just something fresh to Amazon Studios. He, finds some comic property to bring to the live action world, or even animated. Maybe he'll dive more into animated.
And what you get with a guy like that too is like you'll get someone who's actually going to promote this stuff.
Yeah,
because he's going to be at every convention. He does interviews all left, right. He'll continue to do that, so we'll know something's going to drop. Among the sea of shit they just dump on us week to week. So,
but you guys got me excited about a possible like seeing some Valiant properties, given like the small screen
Ninja.
treatment. All
Vin
right.
Diesel returns.
All right. Thanks for kicking us off with some hopeful news, Ed. I'll say that. Hopeful news. I want to highlight this week's Disney layoffs. The first wave of Disney layoffs happened this week, and it claimed Marvel Entertainment chairman Ike Perlmutter. So he's one of the bigger names that got the boot. That got kicked out of the company. He was Marvel Entertainment's chairman. So Marvel Entertainment, being a part of Disney, but specifically focusing on customer-facing products, things like comic books, toys, and licensing around the world. A lot of friends in the comic podcast space and the comic industry in general, had a lot to say about this. And who doesn't really have a lot to say about Ike Perlmutter, considering his background and, some of the prior headlines he's made on his own. To get everyone spun up, Disney CEO Bob Iger, he came back to be CEO maybe just a couple months ago or last year. He's got this big initiative to, save the company money. He's got this massive, quote, strategic realignment, end quote, strategy for the company. And a part of that is, unfortunately, if you're a worker at Disney, this is pretty sad news, but massive layoffs. I think they're planning close to 7,000 layoffs as part of this strategic realignment for the company. They announced these layoffs like it was a tour as well, right? Coming to a city and department near you. But one of the bigger names to get
Mandalorian season 4, round of layoffs, number 8.
Yeah. So Ike Perlmutter was just one of the, like I said, was one of the casualties in this first round, maybe one of the more bigger names to get the boot. This dude's been in the news for, not so great things during his run as chairman of Marvel Entertainment. For starters, he's tried to seat his own friends on the Disney board. He tries like behind the door or closed door deals to get friends on the board, which doesn't sound crazy, right? It sounds like run-of-the-mill corporate, bad guy stuff. But considering the circles that Ike Perlmutter runs with and, his own politics, it's caused some headaches for people. But he's also clashed with Kevin Feige, right? Beloved Kevin Feige is a guy that you don't really imagine having much beef or many enemies. Or I guess it depends on who you're asking. But, there might be some people very upset with Kevin Feige's run of MCU lately. But regardless, Ike Perlmutter and Kevin Feige have clashed a few times to the point that Ike Perlmutter has even tried to get Kevin Feige fired. Back in 2015, and Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, had to step in to stop this from happening. And then there's also numerous stories of him just being, Ike Perlmutter just being very cheap and going overboard and cutting corners in, every way that he can to save money, which once again doesn't sound too crazy for a businessman. But I read a story in a New York Times article where they mentioned he had installed like 20 plus cameras in the office to watch workers' productivity. And I'm not sure which office or department. I don't know if it was like Marvel Comics editorial office or another part of the business, but that's pretty crazy, right? And then Ike has also notably pushed back against efforts for diversity in the MCU. Bob Iger himself, in his memoir, in his book, wrote how Ike Perlmutter just made it difficult and was putting up roadblocks in the way for movies like Black Panther and Captain Marvel. And then there was that whole fiasco with Black Widow where I think he said something to the effect of, a woman-led superhero just wouldn't sell or resonate or it wouldn't work or something like that. He's made it difficult for, diversity and, these movies to be made. And fortunately, these movies did get made and, prove them wrong.
The old white guy. That's just what happens. That's just.
Ed, are you saying I could have just saved a ton of wording, just saying hashtag old
white dude,
old white dude stuck in the times, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, a lot of people had reason to cheer on the fact that Ike Perlmutter got the boot from Marvel Entertainment due to these cutoffs. There's going to be a lot more layoffs in the coming months, which will be sad. That sucks to hear that so many people will be losing their jobs. But at the moment, a lot of comic fans on Twitter and such are seeing that as a positive. Outside of having impacts to people's jobs, it has already impacted certain release schedules for MCU Phase 5 Disney Plus content, specifically shows like Agatha, Echo, and Ironheart. I believe these were all on track to be released sometime this or next year or even in the next 2 years. I think they had like a solid date for all of these. But if you go to check the release dates now, they're all TBD. On the brighter side, I do believe that we'll still see Secret Wars, Loki Season 2, and maybe even What If Season 2 this year. I think those are unfazed by these layoffs. But the rest of the MCU Disney Plus schedule, at least, is kind of up in the air at the moment. But if you dig deeper into the article, there's a line in there where they mention that Disney fired Ike Perlmutter with the reason that his department was kind of redundant. And that division of Marvel/Disney focuses on consumer products. So things like comic book publishing, toy business, internationally at that, and licensing. So the consumer-facing products. And then obviously Marvel Studios handles things like the TV and the movie properties. I don't know, it raises some questions about the future of Marvel Entertainment and if it'll have any impact to the comic publishing side. Like I said, I think this piece of news and this development is still too early to make any solid predictions. Obviously, all speculation at this point, but it does feel like another, ripple in the comic industry's changing landscape. A lot of change has happened in less than 5 years. No longer is Diamond the sole monopoly or even like the only option for retailers and publishers to get their books in stores. And then you've got traditional comic companies either being bought up or merging with other companies. You got new players like Whatnot Publishing entering the game, and the list goes on. It's just an interesting time for the comic industry, to say the very least. And if we're looking at just like the changes going on in Marvel Comics, we're seeing them lose big name creators as they go on to independent comics themselves, like big name writers like Jason Aaron and Donny Cates, who are staples to Marvel flagship titles like Avengers and Hulk and Thor, respectively, have either announced a hiatus or recently finished, like Jason Aaron just finished his Avengers run, so he's kind of taken a step back. I think Donny Cates, his Hulk run, he was writing Hulk, that's kind of been put on hiatus as well for the foreseeable future. All signs kind of point to them just wanting to go the independent route and working on their own titles. We're seeing that a lot just within the big two.
As a creator myself, too, I can only see where they want to do that. It's like, I could work every day super hard, tirelessly, and not own any of the things I'm creating. Have no right to do anything with them after they leave my head to the paper, and then I never own or see anything about it again. Yeah, sure, the paycheck's probably better, but at this point, I have a certain notoriety. Jason Aaron destroyed that Avengers run. So now he can go and make whatever he sees fit. He can create it. He can get all the money or whatever. He can feel that creative control and then do what he wants with it,
Yeah.
Southern bastards, please come back.
Like, it's amazing. And especially someone like Donny Cates, too, who kind of seems to be able to do both, because isn't he still doing Marvel titles, and he's got Vanish, and he's got his whole publishing company on his own. So he's found this intermediate kind of position where he's able to, bust things out on both sides. It's this uber creative dude who seems like he wants
to do giant swords with every company.
Oh, absolutely.
Giant, powerful swords.
He loves swords, man.
All right, enough speculation. We'll see how everything pans out for Disney, for Marvel Entertainment, and its employees in the coming months. I'm sure we'll see more headlines, more news come out of this. But let's inject some much-needed levity and positivity into this conversation. Eli, you put me on to something just the other day, and I know you've been hyped to talk about this and shine a spotlight on this. What you got for us today? What's your topic?
Yesterday, Botter and I seemed to have some fun via chat, via text with this amazing heritage auction stuff. Now, this is like a focus less on the creative side and more on this, like the collectability of this entire world that we love so much. I'm not saying that I'm a big slab dude. I don't really like slabs. I've got a couple slabs. I'm not going to lie that the collectability factor is something that always grabs me right down in the, Jack Kirby's testicles kind of thing. Like, it's like, it grabs me there, like that's where like the collectability factor is a huge thing. It's definitely something that's passed down from my dad. This is something like we do together, to the point where one day he's like, oh man, I was bidding on this Sergio Aragani's original thing and I lost. I'm so pissed. And I was like, Dad, I just won that for you. And he's like, what the hell? So like,
we could have saved so much money. I didn't know it was you.
I know. That's exactly what we're like, damn it. We can never do this again. Seriously, like a couple $1,000s that we like messed each other with.
Oh man,
God, what is going on?
When a father and son undercut each other, what type of family is that? There's no foundation, damn it.
I know. I was like, we need this communication, Father. And Mom calls me the next day being like, Eli, your dad has enough comics. He doesn't need to be don't let him bid anymore. You didn't hear that, Dad. Damn it. Anyway, so there was a huge one yesterday, and I think there's one today is April 1st. I don't know if you want a timestamp on it, but yesterday at the end of April or end of March, and today and then tomorrow I think is another big one. And what really drew me to it, I'm a huge Turtles guy, and Kevin Eastman, he puts things in there like from his obviously vast basement. I mean, I think about these dudes' basements and I'm like, you're sitting on millions of dollars and you have no idea. It's insane. Like, so Kevin Eastman is seemingly liquidating his basement and he put up all this amazing shit, man. It's amazing to me. The same with other people I love, like Matt Wagner. He's like, oh, I just found these like Devil by the Deed color plates and he's like putting them up for sale. There's these comic book creators, like, you gotta sell your closet junk. I'm a big fan of. I made $1,000 off my old T-shirts. You never know what's in your closet, man.
Oh, dude, don't even get me started on the retro T-shirt market. Comic creators' spring cleaning is vastly different than ours, right? They're cleaning out thousands. I'm cleaning out a free donation. Of old clothes.
There was that one. Was it Todd McFarlane? Like maybe last year or so. He's like just found like a page from like Amazing Spider-Man 300 in his closet. It's like, oh, there's $20,000 right there for you.
Yeah. He's someone that kills in the heritage auction market too. And some of it's not so great because it's like these creators don't see that money, and so that's tough. And then you'll get the thing where it's like, oh, this was bought from Jack Kirby from an art dealer and Jack got paid like $50 for it. And now it's sold for like $50,000.
I think it depends on the gallery, because I've heard that there's some galleries, it's a very small minority, mind you, but they will, like, if they sell something of high value, they will cut like a little something for the original artist, which is cool. But that's like, so that's in the minority.
Yeah. And like for me, I'm saying like I'm not as big into the slabbed books. Like that to me is like my collectible in jail. It's I can't touch it. I can't do 100% of the things I love about this thing. I've got a couple over there. It's fine. But original art to me is like I own a piece of this thing. Like it's bones, it's blood, it's body. Like I love these things, and the ultimate way to collect this thing is to own the original art. Like I have these pages, and they didn't cost me much. They're from the Mighty Mutanimals, Archie books from when I was a kid. And like I own these pages now. And it's like this direct line, not only to my childhood, but to like the creator itself. And it's like the ultimate thing from this book that I love so much, So it's like when I see these heritage auctions and I see these original art pieces, like, cause yesterday there were so many things in there, like, peanut strips and Wally Wood Daredevil and, other Turtles covers. Like, there was a couple Mirage pages, but there was a bunch of covers from IDW. That's what I picked up, is this like full color, all 4 Turtles, Kevin Eastman piece that I thought went for like way less than it should have, which is probably why I won it. But like, it's just amazing to see all these things and know that like, that the focus is being put on the like blood and guts of this amazing thing we love so much,
Well said, Eli. Well said. Eli, be careful of the table bumps.
Shit, man. I was all animated there.
All good. No, you're just excited. All good. I'm gonna go ahead and add some more context to what Eli's sharing, because he's got me hyped, and he got me hyped yesterday. So currently, right now, Heritage Auctions, which is one of the, I think they claim to be the world's largest collectibles auctioneer, which I won't debate that. They probably are.
They seem to have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they are in the middle at the time of this recording. And to Eli's point, they're it's April 1st when we're recording this. Which, sidebar, has been an interesting day of trying to read comic headlines and news, and you're like, fuck, it's an April Fool's joke, son of a bitch.
Keeps happening.
Anyways, Heritage Auctions is in the middle of this massive 4-day comic and comic art signature auction. And yesterday was I believe it was the third. It was the third day. The first day made headlines because they set a record for selling a copy of Detective Comics number 27, so the first appearance of Batman, for a record tying $1.74 million. $1.74 million. Just a couple, I think less than 2 years ago. No, I'm sorry. In less than 3 years, this is the second time they've made this record. They've already sold a copy of number 27. The interesting thing about this most recent one is that it's a CGC graded book, so it's like Eli's been saying, it's been slabbed, and the condition has been ranked as a 6.0, which is less than what the previous one, and I don't have that information pulled up right now, but the previous one was a much higher graded, and it sold for I believe the same amount or something similar. So even this lesser graded copy still managed to tie for the record of a highest selling, a copy of this book.
Now, this one says it's got Bob Kane left a message written in ink on its first page to his buddy, Robert Crestall.
Thanks for those ideas, Bill. Sucker.
Still too soon.
Too soon.
That's harsh. That sucks to hear. Oh, God.
Ouch.
Rest in peace, Bill Finger, man. We appreciate your goddamn contributions, which I think kind of plays into Eli's points about like the guts and bones, right? Like to have, even though you won't be able to see, right? It's a slab book. You'll probably never be able to see that.
Yeah,
fucking
these
message,
ones
right?
I think I changed my tune on. I don't want to own Detective Comics unslabbed.
Yeah. But the first day of this 4-day auction, in less than 2 hours, and just selling through 45 items of the entire lot, they were already at 7.5 million in 2 hours and only through 45 items, right? Which is crazy. So they sold Detective Comics number 27 for 1.74 million. Apparently, there are only 75 copies known to exist in any condition, and only 14 graded higher than the one offered in this auction. So there's only 14 that are graded higher than 6.0. And a 6.0 graded comic it's not mint. It's kind of, it's definitely got like shows of wear, and I don't know the full specifics, but it's kind of it's not a beat up copy, but it's not it's not a perfect copy.
Yeah, and you got to understand just at the time, that's like comics it's like disposable entertainment. It was like a newspaper.
You were using them for toilet paper.
You would read it and just like roll it up and toss it in the corner or throw it away.
Exactly.
You didn't really
Throw it in your back pocket with your slingshot. Now, I just saw a trailer for this crazy movie too about this father who was
selling
like
Superman.
Selling Superman. Yeah, that looks insane, man. His wife was like, I was so pissed. He chose his comics over me. I dumped him. And his kids are like, there's $1 million in this short box. And then it's like a closet full of short boxes.
Which, to tie all that together, so this first day auction, right? So Detective Comics number 27 sells. I think in the same auction or in the same lot, you also had Detective Comics number 33. So that's the first comic book to tell Batman's origin story. That sold for $288,000. And then you had a CGC graded 8.0 copy of Batman number 1. That sold for $1.1 million. And I believe it was only I think it's either Batman number 1 or the Detective Comics. One of those was part of this collection, which Eli referenced. It belonged to this deceased guy that owned over 300,000 books. They were all hidden in this attic, and his son recently found his collection in 2020, and he's going through the process of like grading them and, getting an estimate. And they're making a documentary about all of that called Selling Superman. And some of these books that sold in the first day of this auction were part of that collection. So they have like this special ribbon on the CGC label to let you know, like, hey, this is part of this collection. Man, yeah, I can see why Eli is so hyped. And to add to this, yesterday, I'm last minute. And big shout out to Eli. I respect it too, man. I appreciate you hopping on last minute. I texted Eli last minute when Cesar had to bail. I was like, Eli, I need you for tomorrow's show. Let's make this shit happen. What's the topic you want to discuss? He was like, bro, you got to check out. They're doing a live auction right now on Heritage Auctions. Check it out. And I won't lie, I was like, that's not really my thing. I can't afford none of that. What's the point of me even like feeling bad about my financial situation? Right. And I sell on Whatnot. So I'm like, it can't be that much better. I was fucking wrong, Ed. That shit was awesome. It was day 2 of this massive 4-day comic and comic art auction. And they were...
So you're comparing this to Whatnot?
Oh, man. I was like a fool. Dude, I was just being lazy. I was just looking for an excuse not to have
Arms
to like...
folded. Not as good as Whatnot.
Like a fool. I admit I was fucking foolish, thinking that this wasn't going to be pristine and professional. It was awesome. They had a professional auctioneer.
Yeah, they don't always have that.
These books. And, dude, it was just like... It was like watching a heist movie. Before like the spy or protagonist does the big steal, right? Like he's in the auction house and he's got like, you know, his buddy auctioning and his buddy's like, I don't know if we can afford this, Rick. You got to get us out of here quick. $5 million. Dude, it was just like that. The auctioneer was so good. Can I get a 5,000, 5,000?
Oh, that's
5,000,
awesome.
5,000. Dude, and they had so much personality. Like I was like, damn. I could be leveling up my Whatnot shows in such a big way. They were inserting jokes, quips. They were knowledgeable about the books. I think the auction, I sat through like an hour and a half of that auction, and some of the highlights of what I seen sell, and Eli, feel free to jump in. So there was a first appearance of Ghost Rider, not the actual page, but like a page from the comic of his first appearance, with art by Mark Plug. It was Marvel Spotlight number 5, story page 10. Ghost Rider's first appearance, original art from 1972. It sold for $40,800. You had a Peach, and then you had more updated and more recent comic art. For example, there was a Peach Momoko Strange Academy #1 Magic variant that sold for $19,200. Right, that book is maybe, I don't know, it's definitely less than 5 years old.
She hasn't been around that long.
But to Eli's point, it is awesome to see original comic art being treated with this reverence.
Dude, her cover rates just went up.
Oh, for
that auction.
Big time. But I think it's only going to bring more attention to, you know, treating comic books and especially like comic art as like serious, not only serious investments, but I think there's going to be a certain air of like, you know, prestige to it. You know, if it can bring in this much money and like pages that, you know, I don't know, some of these pages you're like, what? It sold for how much? And it doesn't even have the main character on it?
It's like non-splash pages.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You could tell like the people bidding are like, you know, passionate, that like, you know, see it for the artistic merit that it is.
It's like a document, a historical document.
Well said. Well said. I was really surprised to see the variety of things you saw in this and the auction was awesome. So you had like pages from Marvel Comics. You had like a Jim Starlin Superman cover. That one sold for like 11.5.
That Jim Starlin like Magus pinup thing was insane too.
Yeah. They had several Charles Schultz peanut strips as well. The highest selling one that I stayed or got to see was a Charles Schultz Peanut Sunday comic strip featuring World War I flying ace Snoopy. And this was art from 1981. So not even like the oldest peanut strip. And that one sold for $50,000. Now, keep in mind, all of these prices I'm naming for the most part include the 20% buyer's premium on top of the sold price.
Yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, they sold, like, there was a page from the Incal too, Mobius, and that's 16,800. Like, honestly, I think that's low for that. Like, I've seen him at cons for like 20,000, 25.
Especially since he's no longer with us, you know, that usually adds a good amount of money to the price.
4,000. Yeah, dude, it's live right now. Sorry, I don't know if you just heard it pop in.
Eli doesn't talk the rest of the show. You just hear him angrily bidding.
Oh my god!
Dad, what'd I say about this shit, man?
Not again.
Oh man, yeah, these are all slabs though. It's funny.
Long story short, comic book art is one hell of an industry right now. Comic book art selling and just auctioning is pretty impressive to see. If you've never watched a live auction of like, you know, comic art and original stuff, I highly recommend checking out one of these Heritage Auctions ones. Unfortunately, like I said, by the time this episode airs, this 4-day extravaganza they got going on is going to end. But they do this. I mean, they are regularly in the news. Like, they are always making headlines like, Batman #1 sells for record breaking. So it'll only be a matter of time before they come across another big lot.
I think it's the same site, but they usually keep those up and they say what it sold for.
Right. Yeah. You can price stuff out. You can see what past auctions.
So you can still check it out, what's sold.
And another thing I'll say too, man, and I feel like a lot of people, like at cons, these might be a table you pass by, which is the table that's just like scattered with original art. You might not check it out because you're looking for the short boxes, the long boxes, whatever you want. But I would urge everyone to take a second and look through some of those tables because, and just think about your favorite comic. Think about something you read as a kid or whatever, and go look for something. Because like one of the crown jewels of my collection at this point is a page from Generation X #1, the first introduction of Sync in that book. It's like page 9, Chris Bichello.
Oh, so you got it before they had to change the name, right?
No, Gen X always stayed.
Oh, I'm thinking Gen 13 had to change.
Gen 13 had to change. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, so and that was my favorite comic as a kid. Chris Bichello was like my favorite, and like so having that again, like I said, the connection to that book of my youth that I love. I look at it every day, and it's just like, it fills the love and fuels. You know what? And as an artist and creator, I can get in there now and see like, paste ups. I can see what's covered up. I can see the use of whiteout. I have, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I have a Sam Keith, Marvel Comics Presents page too. And this thing is like insane where there's like layers of cut out stuff. There's like photocopied images. There's layers of ink and whiteout and ink and all this stuff. And it's like, it's just amazing to see, to learn from, and to like, help yourself in your own creative endeavors. It's absolutely beautiful.
Well said. Well said. I love that. Yeah. Prints are cool, but ain't nothing like getting the original piece of art that, your favorite artist put his blood, sweat, tears, and even coffee stain on. All right.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Imagine owning a piece of like OG Jack Kirby Fantastic Four
cigarettes
with the cigarette burns, right?
Oh,
that's a piece of history, man. Come on. Awesome topic, Eli. Thank you. Ed, you have something to share about DC and a trailer for this massive company-wide reboot they got going on, right?
I thought this was pretty funny. This I just saw pop up maybe a day or two ago. DC has a new trailer promoting the dawn of DC. It's like DC trailer promoting comics. I'm like, no shit. So it was basically like this 30-second video that they're going to put on HBO Max. I guess they need something on there since they're taking everything else off. And AEW wrestling. So it's going to air this little like video, basically like a motion comics video. I was like expecting something more, and it's like art by Jeff Spokes, featuring the usual cast of characters, the main 7, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the usual suspects on a DC thing. So, but the timing of this is funny to me because the Dawn of DC started. We're in April, guys. Dawn of DC started in January. So their timing is, and then it's not going to air on HBO Max and AEW till May. So it premiered at MegaCon, which is going on this weekend currently, and they're not going to start really promoting. Go figure, DC promoting comic books until May of this year. So this is like another kind of like, we kind of can time it like the Olympics. Like every 4 years we get another reboot, soft reboot, basically an excuse to put out a bunch of #1s to sell. So it's basically like two, and the language they use is so like definitely done in a boardroom, like a corporate boardroom. So they refer to it as it's a line-wide multi-event narrative composed of over 20 individual comic book titles. That's their selling phrase. I'm like, so comics? And it's like forging the future one hero at a time. So it's like 20 new titles. I'm sure 15 of them being Batman related. It's basically year-long. This is going to be 2023. Everything, they're trying to do a refresh with, along with the movie side with James Gunn. I know he wants to unify the two, have them more symbiotic, I guess. But it's just the timing of this is funny, and the video is just so like generic to me. I've seen Kickstarter campaign videos better than this video.
I give them an A for effort. Execution leaves much to be desired.
A little pat on. Oh, that's nice. That's sweet. As a Southerner, you'd say, "Oh, bless your heart."
Yeah, exactly.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, your heart's in the right place. Little too late. Well, I guess whatever. It's still got a couple. It's supposed to be a year-long thing, so I guess
something they should have
middle of the
done years ago.
I agree. But I think the positives is the fact that they're at least giving this a shot. They're putting this on channels that I think would where their audience is, right? HBO Max, AEW TV. I think if you like wrestling, there's a lot of overlap there.
It's like another toxic fan group to bring into the fold.
But it got me thinking, like, imagine if they get their feet underneath them and they really start leaning in on pumping these trailers out, like perfecting them, getting them better, a little more like cinematic. Because to your point, it does feel very generic. It's like, okay, they just need to get this shit out quick. Let's just do a motion comic style trailer.
Maybe it'll be in time for the first set of trades. I don't know. I don't know if that's the timing.
But imagine them playing like this kind of trailer in a theater and like in IMAX on the huge screen right before like a Shazam or Aquaman plays and like a comic retailer.
Maybe the
site.
Super Bowl. That would have been a good spot. A lot of people.
But imagine them playing it in like theaters and having like a comic shop retailer there to like sign people up or take pre-orders. I think that's like super idealistic, but I think I give them A for effort. It's not terrible.
And it just feels like the focus of this isn't us. Like it's not like seasoned readers.
That's true.
And I can get if like the biggest complaint that people have about comics is like, where do I begin? It's at number 350. Like I don't know where to start. So it's like when they're targeting a new reader, they're like, here's all these new number ones. You don't have to know anything more than you already know about Batman and Superman. So it's like you can hop right in. I guess it's like a valiant effort. Not to use a pun there, but like it's like
it's better than a valiant effort.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than what Valiant would do.
It's better than nothing. It's better than nothing, and I think we've definitely all talked about like the things they could be trying and should be doing to promote comics, and so better than nothing. I give them an A for effort for sure.
Dawn of DC, better than nothing.
If they really want to impress me, because to Eli's point, this is definitely for like your beginner readers, your comic curious newbies, people that go watch these movies and you want to capitalize on them being interested in like of the moment. But if they want to get a seasoned reader and collector like myself and you guys, I want to see them have like fucking Spike Lee direct a comic book trailer, right? Like, it's got to be the comics, man. It's got to be the comics.
Like those old Levi commercials.
Just fucking shoot it
like with Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, I want this shit to feel like cinematic. I want some fucking AC/DC playing like in the back, right? Just something to like get my blood pumping. Like, fuck yeah, I like comic books.
Or even Jim Lee and Spike Lee, the Lee brothers.
Dude, that is a campaign waiting to happen. All right.
Remember when he used to wear the Malcolm X hat because he thought it was X-Men?
Is that the story?
That's what we joke. I don't know. It seems kind of
that's
like
a short box
disingenuous.
Yeah, that's a short box cannon. All right. Jim Lee was wearing that X hat because he thought it was X-Men. All right. Speaking of comics making their way onto the small screen, I've got one for you guys here. I think that might have been a terrible segue, but fuck it. TMNT Last Ronin is becoming a video game. All right, this one was announced. I think out of all the news, this one was probably announced the what is it? This is probably the oldest piece of news out of all the stuff we've brought up so far. But Last Ronin, man, it got announced as that they're doing a video game version of that. I found this Polygon article that did a good job of breaking down everything, but everything you really need to know was in that headline. The graphic novel that came out in 2020, The Last Ronin, which I think it's safe to say, like, really put. Not saying that the TMNT comics were lackluster or dying, but because I know like it's got a passionate fan base.
Yeah,
but I feel like Last Ronin put that shit. That felt like a moment. You know, like in 2020, I think that book ended up on a lot of people's like favorite. I think we've talked about it very highly.
And unfortunately, it had a lot of weird delays through the whole thing. So
and its original artist left and stuff.
Yeah, And it's like, but they are doing the kind of the prequel series now. There's your DLC.
Exactly. It kind of brought new life to and a new focus, I think, and a new energy to the TMNT comics and whatnot. So, due to the popularity of that, and I think what's also impressive too is that it's so recent, right?
Yeah.
Like it's only maybe a 3-year-old book or whatnot, maybe even less than 3 years, but it's already getting a video game based on the popularity, based on the feedback and things like that.
Yeah, they already have figures. I mean, Target has Last Ronin action.
Yeah, they do. And we don't get figures like just based on comics, especially for Turtles. I guess I'm a huge Turtles collector, so like to get these comic-based figs is like insane.
And those figs look badass, by the way. I own 1 or 2 of them, and I gotta say,
I love the Universal Monster crossovers. Did you get those?
They're cool.
Yeah, I've gotten all those.
They just put out a Casey for the last.
What's Casey?
I can't remember now.
I saw Leonardo's The Invisible Man just came out, I think.
And then Raphael is Frankenstein. That one looks cool. As far as this video game adaptation, they interviewed someone by the name of Doug Rosen. He's a senior vice president for games and emerging media at Paramount Global, so the company that owns the rights of TMNT. And he had a lot to share about the video game adaptation. He's saying that it's going to be darker, more mature, so it's going to be pretty faithful to the tone of Last Ronin. It's going to be a single character game, and he likened it to God of War. That was kind of like the big kind of catchy part of the headline, is that this Last Ronin game is going to be a third person action role playing game similar to like the God of War titles. They want to definitely stay faithful to like that more grittier, darker, mature tone that Last Ronin introduced, which I think played a big part in its popularity. The fact that we basically kind of got, the Dark Knight Returns for TMNT. I know that was like a big appeal to me, was like the tone and how serious it was.
You get to see like an older like April, and then they know that Casey.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, come
Casey
on.
had a daughter.
Post-apocalyptic fucking,
robot
futuristic stories are like just cash grabs for me. I'm a sucker
I love that
for
stuff.
those, right?
Well, and you get to see the scene too where each turtle dies, and it's like Raph is like impaled, and like, it's just crazy to see. It's not what, I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to see these guys die, but like, it's just crazy to see. You're like, what?
I'm about to call Pete on your ass.
But it'd be cool if you could even like play in those flashbacks.
That would be tight.
Oh yeah, or like the Kevin Eastman art comes up. Like there was a Wii game, I think, where they used like Jim Lawson art like for segues and stuff. It was really cool.
Of course, this one is like years off from even seeing anything substantial. They didn't even name the studio in the article at all. So no studio has been named, no release date, no trailers, no nothing other than like those very high concepts that were shared. But the good news, I guess there's a little bit of good news because they do have one new TMNT game coming out in the very near future to coincide with the new animated movie, the TMNT Mutant Mayhem. They're releasing like a Roblox. I don't know if it's a DLC or just a Roblox style game of Mutant Mayhem, but that's supposed to be coming out, in time for the movie. Yeah, outside of like the Ike Perlmutter and the Marvel Entertainment, I think this Last Ronin one is going to be one that I kind of keep track of very closely.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
But that was the last headline we'll be talking about today, listeners. Obviously, we didn't get to everything that happened this past month. There's still, a lot of headlines that we skipped over. And honestly, by the time this episode airs, I'm sure that, some of the things we have already talked about will either be outdated or even like updated. There might be further developments to some of the things that we have discussed already. So we'll keep an eye out on those things, and we'll report back if there's anything new or significant to talk about. Like I said, I definitely want to pay close attention to what's going on with Disney and Marvel Entertainment, and hopefully, we'll see a Last Ronin trailer by end of year. It'd be awesome. You know what? That's my Christmas gift I want. I just want a trailer for this Last Ronin God of War video game they're promising. Just a cutscene. Yeah, exactly. A little teaser, All right, I think it's now a perfect time to shift gears into our next topic and look to the future of comics overall. Let's take a look at what new titles will be hitting shops next month. Let's go ahead and grab a fistful of comics.
You can either have a mouthful of teeth or a fistful of comics.
Fistful of Comics is a segment dedicated to helping all you comic-curious newbies and loyal Wednesday warriors find the best new comics, find the best new starting points, and creative teams that this wide world of comics has to offer. And to help us accomplish that goal, we've called on our friend Ben Kingsbury, the owner of Jacksonville's premier comic shop, Gotham City Limit. He's here to take us to the limit when it comes to our comic shopping experience. He's got a list of his top 3 recommendations when it comes to comic books coming out soon that are worthy of your time and attention. So let's go ahead and get the music going and kick things off. The first one he's got on his list caters to anyone like me that has been eagerly looking forward to the new season of Peacemaker, or really just any Peacemaker content to fill that huge void that John Cena and his crew has left, all right? If you're craving for Peacemaker comics or content in general, this one's for you, all right? Here's Ben to kick us off.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Here's 3 comics you should add to your comic short box ASAP. I'm Ben K, representing Gotham City Limit in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's take it to the limit. First up, DC Comics presents Peacemaker Tries Hard, number 1 of a 6-part series. I think James Gunn's vision of having a cohesive comic and entertainment DCU is brilliant, and I can confirm the new Peacemaker comic is written in the hilarious style of the hit TV show. This is an easy must-add for any fan of said show. Plus, here's one spoiler from the first issue. Deathstroke.
Ben, man, he just left it at that. Mic drop moment right there. Peacemaker Tries Hard, number 1, comes out May 2nd. All right, next up on the list isn't just a solid choice for anyone looking for something more on the scary/horror side of comics, but in true Ben fashion, he's managed to make this next recommendation a classic G.I. Joe, the more you know kind of moment, all right? You're going to learn something new, all right? I won't spoil it. Here's Ben.
One of the truly underrated sides to collecting and reading comics is the additional vocabulary you run into if you do indeed read the stories. I often read comics as a kid with the dictionary next to me, and I credit comics for my love of reading to this day. So why the vocab diatribe? Well, Oni Press presents Lamentation number 1, To Lament. Had to look that one up. To express grief or to regret deeply. A comic written from the mind's eye of master storyteller Cullen Bunn comes a theater experience you're apparently going to regret going to, based on that title, Theater Horror Alley This Way.
There you go. Who says that you don't learn, some new vocab, here on the show? Not only do you learn how to not pronounce it if you listen to me pronouncing certain words, then you got Ben teaching you, new definitions. All right, once again, that was Lamentation number 1. That comes out May 3rd through Oni Press. And last but not least, all right, this last comic on Ben's list is very appropriate considering our present company and his love of the web slinger. Here's Ben one more time to take us home with his last recommendation.
Amazing Spider-Man, whom I love, comes out so often, it can feel like filler stories, seemingly always waiting for the next big event to happen. Well, Amazing Spider-Man number 25 has promised to be the most shocking Spider-Man story in 50 years. They warn your heart isn't ready for this. And while I have no insider information, I fear a certain redhead is headed for doom. Well, another week is come and gone, and I'm still Ben K, representing Gotham City Limit in Jacksonville, Florida. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility, and always take it to the limit.
All right, so that was Amazing Spider-Man number 25. That comes out May 10th. And once again, to recap our options for today, we got Peacemaker Tries Hard number 1, Lamentation number 1, and Amazing Spider-Man number 25. Eli, Ed, of those 3 options we got, which one are you most interested in? Which one is more than likely going to land on your pull list? Eli, how about you?
First, I'm gonna go through here. Like, unfortunately for me, Peacemaker hasn't crossed my path. I haven't seen the show other than the Suicide Squad movie, so I probably won't be picking that one up. But maybe in the future once I see the show. Amazing Spiznai, it's already in there. It's already in the pull list. I'm gonna read it. So that's nothing new. Lamentation, now that seems cool. I knew that word because it's one of the title cards from Clerks, and I did a English project about that in high school where I looked up all the words. So I knew that one. It just looks different. It looks new. It's like a fresh story. We need to support these types of stories in comics. We can't always be buying Amazing Spiznai, Shout out to my boy Manus. That's what he always calls it. He's my co-host on Can I Thwip It? Anyway, but Lamentation seems interesting to me. It seems like a different story. I love reading like kind of gothic horror stuff, so I'm going to choose Lamentation.
Man, and look at this well-read dude over here. I know the word lamentation. I did an English project. We get it, Eli. You smart. All right?
It's still based on comics like that, of course, you know?
I got you. I'm messing with you. All right, Ed, what about you, man? What's your pick?
Oh, Lamentations, easily. Out of the two, I
Is it
like...
because you guys just like saying the word lamentation? I like
word.
It's part of it.
I like Colin Bunn, and I'm not... I do like superhero stuff, of course, but I'm just not as into it. I like the weirder... horror, kind of stranger stuff. So, and I like Colin Bunn. He's a great writer. So, like I said, I'm definitely picking that one up.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to be the odd man out and say Peacemaker Tries Hard, #1. For the main reason, outside of I really did enjoy the show, and if this is kind of in the same vein and tone as the show, then yeah, I'm right there. But beyond that, it's because Kyle Starks is writing it. And I've been reading I Hate This Place or I Fuck This Place if you get the unedited covers. And it's great, man. So I'm Kyle Starks is just on my radar right now. And, you know, I've got a lot of appreciation for what he's doing. And this cover by Chris Anka is pretty badass.
Yeah.
So they've got me by the cover. They've got me by a writer that I'm really interested in and a character that, you know, is kind of on my mind. So I'm going to go Peacemaker Tries Hard, #1. But I think solid picks all around. I don't think we could have gone wrong picking any of those three. Listeners, there's your list. Big shout-outs to Ben. Once again, big shout-outs to the whole Gotham City Limit team. If any of those pique your interest, go ahead and hit up your local comic shops. Get your pre-orders in now. And remember, even if you don't live in Jax, you can still take it to the limit. You can shop for comics, collectibles, and exclusive variant covers by going to GothamCityLimit.com. And that pretty much wraps us up for this segment. Eli, I got to give you a big shout out as well, man. And thank you so much for your assistance today. Like I said, you hopped on. You were willing to hop on last minute while you were fucking clashing with your dad on the Heritage auction. You agreed to come on the show. You taught me a little, taught me something new. You got me onto something new. And you've been great overall, man. So,
yeah, man.
I'm going to have links to your socials. I'm going to have links to Can I Thwip It podcast and Cosmic Lion in the show notes for anyone interested in giving you a follow. But would you like to plug anything? You want to do any shameless plugs?
Absolutely. I'll always shamelessly plug. Well, first I have a third podcast that I've been doing that's called The Devil in Detail, which is a Grendel read-through comic. Me and my dude Ben Granoff, another amazing comic book creator. And we are about 105 issues in. We've done the full cycle and we're into Grendel Tales now. It's getting insane. So we're doing the Dave Cooper Grendel Tales with Susan Varigan. Absolutely beautiful book. I think we were talking about it, Botter. Cosmic Lion Productions, again, is coming out with new books. Oh, man. I'm actually a little behind because I'm supposed to have a rollout today of a new book. So I'll give you guys a exclusive. Arcane #3, the final part of the trilogy of Arcane, of the first arc, is going to drop on Cosmic Lion Productions today, basically, if I can get my act together. We also have the Treasury edition of Ghost Agents, oversized, printed on newsprint. Got that looks glorious smell.
Is that on the Cosmic Lion website?
It's on the Cosmic Lion website. It's $30. Comes with a free sticker. As everything pretty much on Cosmic Lion does. We got Space Knights, which is killing it. Kevin Anthony Catalan, our wunderkind, who's like 26 years old, and he's just absolutely destroying it. We got Tales from the Wolf, by Tony Wolf, who's a New York Times published artist, who's got the like slice of life books. Wizard 2, I still have some copies of that. Weird Myths from Ozon, out in Turkey. There's just like a whole galaxy of Cosmic Lion books at your fingertips. CosmicLionProductions.com.
All right, listeners, you heard the man, Eli, all right? He doesn't just talk about comics, but he be about it, all right? He really be about it. And, he was a fantastic co-host. I'll have links to all of that in the show notes. Go and support our guy, all right? Support independent comic creators, man. They do great work. And if you're watching on the YouTube, this is where we say goodbye. This is also where I recommend you hop over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast to hear the rest of the show. If you're already there, don't go nowhere, all right? Next up, we're going to announce a podcast-exclusive comic giveaway for our most loyal listeners. But first, I'm going to play some music from our longest running music contributor. All right, I'm talking about Mecha the Marvelous. He's been providing dope beats and music for this show for years now, and he still finds time to drop full projects of his own, like the one that recently came out called Jane Doe. I'm going to play you a small teaser of one of my favorite songs off the project. It's called Relapse. Yeah, it's called Relapse, which you should kick back and relax while you enjoy it, and we'll be right back. All right, you see what I did there, Ed?
Yeah.
Is that good?
That's pretty good.
Was that a DC Dawn?
Better
Dawn a
than
DC
nothing.
effort? All right, we'll be right back, folks.
I chill cause it's hurting me. Feel the love with a touch and uncertainty. Am I worthy of me? At the times am I break down and I weep. How this happened to me? I'm relapsed and I'm asking to let me go. But this liquor and smoke got the strongest hold.
Yo, the music you just heard was a small snippet of a song by Mecha the Marvelous called Relapse off his new project Jane Doe. Available everywhere you stream music, so Spotify, Apple Music, and all those good places. Show your support. Go stream the album, run those numbers up. It's the very least we could all do, considering all of the music he's blessed us with throughout the years. I've literally had it on repeat for the last 48 hours. It's pretty damn good. Go and check that out. All right, so we don't have any emails to read this week. Hopefully I'm not missing one from anyone. My apologies if so, but I think we're clear as far as emails go. But last week's episode with Chris from Comic Tropes reminded me that I have yet to announce or formally congratulate our homies over at the Oblivion Bar podcast for the release of their variant cover of Murder Road #1. They've got an exclusive variant cover that was done by Christian Ward. It was a partnership they did with Whatnot to get their own exclusive variant. Amazing art by Christian Ward. And it's a big deal, I think, for a comic podcast to be able to collaborate with a platform like Whatnot and get their own branded variant cover. I mean, their logo is on the back of the comic, for God's sake. I mean, imagine a short box one right there. It got my wheels turning, is what I'll say, but I don't want to steal a spotlight from Chris and Aaron over at Oblivion
Ashley
Bar.
will be happy Jeff Lemire did not draw it.
That would be my preferred artist. That's who I would have draw
just
our
to
variant
spite
cover.
Ashley.
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, that would have been my bargaining chip to get Ashley back on the show. Make her leave maternity leave early. It's like, come back on the show, or I get Jeff Lemire to do our variant cover. I kid. But I bring that up to say, obviously, I was happy to support, the initiative, and I thought I picked up just one or two, but I actually ended up buying 4 copies of this exclusive cover. So I'm here to spread the wealth with some of you loyal listeners that have made it this far in the episode. Right? If you're still listening and you're like, yo, I'm here until I'm getting every single second of this free episode, then, this is for you. All right. And here's all you need to do to possibly get yourself one of these, a copy of one of these comics here. I want you to tell us the most you've ever spent on a single comic or comic related art. Eli's topic and segment has got me thinking about like my own expenditures with like comic books and, what I've spent throughout the years at conventions and with artists and things like that. So I want to hear from you guys. Like, what's the most expensive, what's the most amount of money you've dropped on a single comic book, or maybe a collection, or a comic related art? Do you got like a cool commission piece that you got done from your favorite comic artist, or a limited print, or a key issue first appearance, whatever, Write us a short response to that prompt and email it to us at theshortboxjacks.com, or you could DM us on Instagram. Just let me know as part of this giveaway, and we'll read it in our next episode. So it works hand in hand, right? You get a chance to win one of these copies of this comic, and we get content, right? You get to be a part of the show in a way. We'll pick 1 or 2 people to win some comics. Like I said, I got not only these Phantom Road, Oblivion Bar podcast exclusives, but I actually got a couple of Gotham City Limit exclusive comics to give away as well. You'll get your choice. So write us a prompt, once again, telling us about the most money you've ever spent on a single comic or comic-related art piece. And do you recall, like, the most expensive comic thing you've ever bought was?
If I remember, I got this limited edition Steranko poster, like a print.
Ooh,
It was
nice.
like $100 or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd have to look because it's in that range. I haven't gone to. I'm broke, bro. That's about as much as I. But it's around that probably $120 mark.
Yeah, I was trying to think of it myself, and it might have been like maybe a commission I got done. You know, like just a head sketch, and it was probably around like that $100 range. I think by the time we record again, I'll probably have an exact number, but I'm trying to think of like the most expensive comic I bought. But I'm also very cheap, and anything that gets into like the 100 range, I'm like, I don't know if I need it that much. So I'm curious to hear what our listeners got to say. I know one or two are very serious into the comic collecting and art buying market. So we'll see what responses we get. And while we wait for that, let's go ahead and slide into our final segment. And let's talk about the best entertainment options, comics and non-comics, that we've been enjoying since the last time we talked. It's time for Champion Season.
It's time for
Champion Season. Champion Season is the part of the show where we highlight everything else that has consumed our free time, which includes the movies, TV series, books, video games, and other entertainment options we'd personally recommend to friends just like you. Ed, how about you go ahead and do us the honors, man? Kick us off. What are you going to champion today?
Got one. I got a big stack of stuff I need to read, but what I did pick up and finally look through is actually one of Ben's picks is The Forged.
Oh, hell yeah.
From Image Comics. It is a...
Can I flip through that?
Yeah, go for it. It is awesome because it pops out of the shelf because it's 8.5 by 11. It's like a magazine format. It's Greg Rucka, Eric Troutman are the writers. Mike Henderson is doing the pen and inks, and Nolan Woodward's doing the colors. Adriana Meyer doing the letters, but it's a beautiful comic.
This is a very impressive looking book.
Yeah, it's a space opera, pulpy space opera, kind of in that Star Wars.
And it feels good in the hand too. It feels like I'm holding like a fucking Empire magazine or something.
It's good, yeah.
Like
it's
nice
almost
magazine.
like something heavy metal would print out or something. But it's really cool. Like I said, this first issue does a little world building. So you have this empress that kind of rules the galaxy, but you don't see her yet. And almost like the Emperor in Star Wars, but they have these bioengineered soldiers, kind of these Amazonian, kind of the muscle called the Forged, who's on the cover. And then you have the Cassandras, which are the sexy space witches, I think they call them that on the, a cabal of sensuous space witches. So they'd even do the old kind of like pulp taglines at the beginning. But it's kind of like they're trying to find a downed ship, but kind of gives you the kind of just sets up the story, sets up the characters. It is a little spicy if that upsets you. Nothing crazy, but if you kind of think of a heavy metal, even a slightly below heavy metal magazine. So there is some spiciness to it. But like I said, beautiful book. Really like the character design, like the art, the coloring is beautiful. The whole package is just awesome. I hope they keep it in this magazine format. But yeah, it's a big hit for, I know it's still early in the year, but this is definitely a standout.
Damn. Okay. Well said. Well said. Look at that. Ben took you to the limit.
Yeah.
All right. One and done. I like it. All right. I've got three, technically. Two, three. All right. First one is a manga. It's called Master Keaton. It's created by Naiko Urasawa. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But it's the same guy that created Pluto, which is one of my favorite mangas of all time. The best way I could describe Master Keaton, it's kind of slice of life. There's not a lot of like, there's not, it's not sci-fi. It's not, in that vein of anything. It's like, kind of grounded. It's basically Indiana Jones meets MacGyver in a more pacifist viewpoint. The story is centered on the main character, Taichi Haraga Keaton. He is the son of a Japanese zoologist and an English noblewoman. And he's an insurance investigator, educated in archaeology, and he's a former member of the British Secret Service, which I think is the SAS. So he's got that going for him. So like by day, he's like a teacher teaching archaeology. And then by night, he's an insurance investigator investigating like murders, art theft, just all these different cases that takes him around the world. And he's brilliant. He's not like a gung-ho superhero neither. Like, he's very calm, very relaxed. He doesn't say much. He's very analytical, and he rarely ever uses his fist. Actually, in the entire volume 1, he doesn't throw one punch. He was a survivalist trainer in the British Special Army, but he's also like a book smart nerd and stuff. So he's always figuring out his way out of things by using his brain, by like using, building shit around him, like grabbing tape and a piece of wood. And it is the most fun you'll ever have learning about archaeology, survival skills, like the Bible and all this. Like, they cover such a wide range of topics because you could literally just insert them into any kind of like story. Oh, a art heist, a story, a fucking murder story, right? Like, the adventures are really fun. A lot of variety in it. Very well drawn. That is one thing about Urasawa I will say, is the fact that a lot of his, outside of like Pluto, his range is so good. He can draw like the robots and the monsters. And then you've got this story where everyone is just a regular person. Like, it's just grounded in real life type shit, right? I think he really shines when he's like drawing detailed archaeology and like statues and all this. And the fact that you're like learning real life stuff is a lot of fun. So Master Keaton is the name of it. There's 12 volumes in total. The sad thing though is none of his comics are available digital. So you can't buy this like on Comixology or down, get a digital version, legally at that. Like, it's all meant to be bought in print in the tankobon. So like, and that goes for all of his stuff. Pluto, Master Keaton, Monster, all of his stuff are print only. So it's a little challenging in that regard, but it's also kind of fun to go hunt some of these books down.
So he's like a no punch man. Huh? Yeah.
Better than nothing.
Well, better than nothing.
That's gonna be a new one. I gotta isolate that.
It's our new catchphrase.
Yeah, that's our new catchphrase. All right, and then my next champion is kind of like a 2-in-1, and that's just recent movies. I renewed my AMC Stubs program membership, so I've just been watching like all these free movies as because I'm paying like $25 a month. And I get like 3. I know I don't know what the fuck has gotten into me, but I think because all of the it's like the summer blockbuster time, right? So there's always a movie in theater, and I get like 3 tickets a week, which is overkill. I'm not watching 3 fucking movies a week, but I have been watching like all like the big stuff. So
yeah, that's
Creed
not a bad
3,
deal.
no, not at all. It definitely pays for itself because you also get a fuck ton of points. Like $1 spent at like the concession is like 5 points. So you start building back your points and all this. You got a lot of rewards. So yeah, I will say there's a little bit of sticker shock for this program, but you do get your money's worth. But I say all that to say Creed 3 and John Wick 4 have been my favorite movies so far, and they are excellent like additions to the larger franchise. You would think by like the 3rd installment of Creed or John Wick 4, you're like, what else can you do with these franchises?
Yeah,
dude, I gotta say, both of them super fun. Creed 3 had a lot of heart. I love the story. I love the dynamic between Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan. They had some great chemistry on screen. And then John Wick 4, it's like, where do they come up with these ideas? They just managed to push the envelope even further. Have you watched any of these yet?
I've watched all of them. I haven't watched the 4th one yet.
Okay. All right, dude. I'm telling you, that shit was
I've
like
heard nothing
watching
but
a
praise.
live action video game. It was awesome.
And who's it?
was
Donnie
awesome.
Yen? Who's in it? Not Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Fucking steals the show. Right? And that's no discredit to Keanu Reeves. He still does the damn thing as a title character. But Donnie Yen comes through and you're like, wow. Give this guy a spinoff. Give this guy a spinoff.
Well, they're doing aren't they doing a spinoff
Ballerina
that's like talking about the like in the 70s about the hotel?
That's right. There's 2 confirmed spinoff. One about the Continental,
oh, wow. Continental,
and then one about a you remember in the 3rd one when John has to go back to like the ballet school.
Yeah.
They're doing one about a ballerina, like a badass ballerina, out of that school. So, but yeah, man. As far as movies go, Creed 3 and John Wick 4 have been stellar. I'm actually like, when I left John Wick 4, I was already planning the next one. I was actually like, fuck it, I might use one of these another free ticket, to come back in and watch it. So yeah, Creed 3, John Wick 4, get my stamp of approval. Master Keaton, the manga, also worth checking out if you just want to switch up, add something different to your reading queue. If you're reading a bunch of sci-fi, extraterrestrial, and superhero stuff, I think it's such a really fun, interesting, well-grounded
And that's
read.
the good thing about manga in general. It's just, I mean, we always say there's something for everybody in comics, but there is everything is a manga. It seems like
Manga to me, if you enjoy Image, where Image does such a good job of offering you so many genres. It's like Image to me is a company of genres. What genre do you like? And we probably have a comic for it. That's how I feel about manga, right? Like you can't really pigeonhole manga into one genre or thing. It's way more than Naruto. It's much more than Dragon Ball Z. It's much more than all of these huge franchises that we've come to know. Like manga really does encompass so many different genres. And I think Chris from Comic Trope said it best in the last episode. It's really like when it comes to manga, if you have a certain genre or topic that you like in entertainment or hobby, in some cases, then there's probably a manga for it. And Master Keaton, I don't know shit about archaeology. Don't dump me in the forest and expect me to survive longer than a day. But it's been so much fun, man. The characters are so likable. So those are my champions. And I think with my picks on the table, it's time to wrap this thing up, man. That is it for our episode. Shortbox Nation, it is your turn to chime in. If you got a worthwhile champion pick, if you got a headline or article that maybe we missed that you want to go ahead and bring up, or if you want to enter in that contest that we got going on and tell us about your most expensive comic book you bought or art piece, write into the show. We would love to hear from you guys. Write into our email at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram or Twitter. And be a part of next week's show. Ed, do we have any like major takeaways or like parting words to give the listeners? I have one, and I wonder if you'd agree. But I want to hear. Do you got anything that comes to mind?
We'll go for it.
It's a stupid one. I mean, it's not a good life lesson, but I think I will be adding Kirby Crackles to my list of verbiage when it comes to
your testicles.
Testicle.
Yeah, that.
Hearing Eli call it his Kirby. What he said down to my Jack Kirby's.
Yeah, it's like I was almost off-putting. I'm like, dude, talk about the king like that.
Oh my Kirby Crackles.
We're right in the crackles.
Oh my God, I am so immature. That's ready.
Very funny.
Yeah. If you made it this far, thank you for tuning in for so long. My Kirby Crackle.
I'd like to say Eli, man, he's legit.
Oh no, for sure, man. Like you want to talk about someone that talks the talk and walks the walk. He is definitely somebody to
like 3 podcasts, a publisher. It's like, Jesus.
And way to make me feel like a lazy piece of shit. Thanks. Thank you. No, good time. All right, there you have it, Shortbox Nation. Thank you for hanging out. If you made it this far, I think it's safe to say you enjoyed this episode. So I'm going to ask you for one small favor, and that's to help us spread the word. You can do that a few ways. For starters, you can share this episode with a friend that you know loves comics as much as we do. That's always great. Share the wealth. And if you're feeling extra generous, maybe take 10 seconds to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It won't cost you a thing. It won't even cost you a penny. It'll cost you maybe 10 seconds to say some nice words, but that'll mean a lot to us as well. Next week, what do I got planned for next week? Actually, I might drop some more interviews from Collective Con. I've got a batch of interviews with Billy West, John DiMaggio, and Jim Cummings. So a giant voice actors episode that I think I'm going to drop next week for you guys. So you've got that to look forward to. And then I think after that, Ed will probably do that Zorro episode because C might have some time in his very busy schedule to come back. So we'll probably do the Zorro episode after that. So we got a lot for you to look forward to and to enjoy. We got you covered. But if you want more content, if you want bonus content, if those episodes aren't enough, if you don't feel like waiting a week for a new episode from us, me and Drew are recording a previews episode. We're going to be flipping through this month's previews catalog to find all the cool comics, toys, and merch hitting shops soon. That'll be a bonus episode that'll live exclusively on our Patreon. So if you want access to that, if you want to vote on episode topics, if you want rewards for being a listener and a follower of The Shortbox, go to patreon.com/theshortbox, sign up, and become a patron saint of the show. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Go read your comic books. Continue to make mine in your Shortbox, and we'll talk to you next week. Peace.